that is the sounds. Oh, welcome, by the way, to Katunkwit Chronicles. But that is the sound of sweat dripping off my brow. It is F. No, it's not F. It's hot in here. That's the sound of the dripping. So, welcome here to Katunkwit Chronicles once again. We are here in episode 46. Can you believe it? Ashlyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see you again. We had a nice visit the other day, and we had a visit with none other than a friend who is actually related. He is a nephew. His name is Art Corvalay. Art Corvalay is here today.
Welcome, Art.
Welcome, Ashland and Yamas. How are you?
Yamas. Yamas. Yes, that's what my nephew always calls me, Yamas. For James, of course. Yamas Allen. He doesn't pronounce the last name any differently, do you? Is it Allen or?
It's Allen. Yes, but the J is a bit hard, So I prefer, with having had an Ivy League background, that I simply just try not to pronounce the J. It's rather brutal.
You have to always drop that thing about the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Which Ivy League did you go to? Which
well, it was
institution?
It was a minor Ivy League school.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like the Ivy League that you think of. It was Southern Connecticut State University.
Oh, okay. So there's
which is it's not Ivy League yet, but it's
Ivy League adjacent.
Yes.
Do they spell it? Do they abbreviate it I.V. IV? Which I could use a little IV because it's it's HOT today. I almost did the F again.
It is HOT.
Oh yes. So we can go back to that in a minute, but I wanted to ask you a few questions before we go forward. But have you ever been to the racetrack?
The racetrack? Which racetrack?
Well, I don't know. The ones I used to go to are all defunct now.
Any racetrack.
There was Narragansett racetrack.
I've been to various dog racing tracks.
Oh, yes.
Are you referring to any of those in the area?
Well, I've been to those too. I was exposed to that at a young age. However, as we're going through this, as a youngster, did they have those? Have you ever seen those troughs? Well, you were in India, right? You went to India, so they must have had all kinds of unusual restroom facilities in India. I'm guessing. Hey, I'm making an assumption now.
Well, you're right. Yeah, various government buildings that you would expect to have toilets. Simply
have the hole, right?
Just hole in the ground with the nice part is that they give you some treads for your feet so that you don't slip. Yep, and kind of fall
does it improve your accuracy?
You're very accurate when there's a hole in the ground. It's there's a large margin of error that you can have while you're doing your business, but they give you a little bucket to sort of wash off. But the only issue is that
everyone used the same bucket.
Everyone uses the same bucket, and then the water that you fill the bucket is way over there. So if you want to if you do your business, and then you forget to put water in the bucket before doing it, you actually have to kind of walk on over there to refill the bucket where the hose is. So
saves a lot of paper, but it's tough on water. So anyway, at the racetrack, they used to have, as I'm just a little 12-year-old boy, maybe 11. And you walk in, and, Ashlyn's already beyond this conversation, of course, because she hasn't been exposed to this, I would imagine. However, you walk in, and the water's running incessantly in this long trough, right? And it's very primitive and very wasteful, I would say, because that water's not getting recycled or anything. And people are just standing there whizzing, right? And you're 11.
Wait, they're whizzing in there?
Yeah,
I was drinking from that as a kid.
Well, you didn't last long at the racetrack, I'm sure. But there was this happening, and then invariably one of the men, usually one with an absurdly large member, would drop his pants entirely, right? Right down to the floor. And into the wet little area there. And you wonder what's going on with that.
Well, that's when you peer over your shoulder and you
Peer.
I thought the etiquette was no peering over your shoulder.
No,
at people.
that's when you go, that's it.
That's a good moment for that. The other day when we discussed that, not as good a moment because we were at the restroom and you were mentioning that as I was working my way through the removal of urine from the bladder. Well, let's get off of this topic. We've learned from Mr. Corvalay, nephew Corvalay, that we can call you Art. That's better. That your connections with you have some connections with Katunquit. You have a small business, I guess. That's you're in the pool above ground swimming pool construction business. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a micro business at this time.
How's it working out?
Is that because the pools are very small?
Well, I don't know. Comimicat's got some big pools, but the reality is that people have a lot of pools in the area, and I think it's a good idea to fix them up and to clean them out. Pretty dirty. I don't know. Maybe there is some pee in them.
Yeah, sure. Don't pee in the pool.
Yeah, but they're
no pee in the ool.
Yep. And there's big business on the island.
But how many people have you actually provided the service to?
I haven't provided the service to too many people. I've just got one trial.
Yeah, who was that?
This was a very wealthy man on
an above ground pool. He's a wealthy man.
Yep. Well, he's a saver. I mean, he's smart. He's a smart business guy. But the only thing is that after I installed it, he kind of ripped it out. He didn't like it. So, and I haven't talked to him, and I sent him an invoice, and he hasn't paid it. So, but other than that, I think the business is going really well. I think we're starting to get a lot of conversations with people.
Yes.
And those people are kind of overlooking the incident with the wealthy gentleman on the northern side of the island. So,
okay.
I find it interesting that you haven't serviced James's pool.
James, you have a pool.
Well, next year we'll ask you to do it. We were going to try to wait it out and see how you made out. Eva's very particular about her pool. Oh, that's lovely. So you have connections with Katunquit, and then I'm sitting here, and that's probably the only. You have any relatives over here?
Well, the thing that because the pool business is kind of taken off slow. What I've kind of been doing is because I'm a trained architect, I've been focusing on yurts in people's yards on the island.
Oh,
and I've gotten several yurts on the island. And
what do you mean you've gotten them?
For clients, them? Yep, for ADUs. See, what people are doing is they're actually just renting out their main homes during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Some words upwards of $2,000 a month.
Oh yeah,
and then
Katunquit's down from the other island.
Yeah. And is the other island more expensive?
Oh yeah, it's a lot more expensive than the other islands. Yeah, but it's all right. Keep going.
Maybe they're ripping me off. Maybe they just say that to get a cheap yurt price. Are
you renting the yurts or are they?
Well,
buying them?
I build them for them. About $500 each.
Do you know how to spell it? I never can spell it. Scrabble.
YURT. But that's not the Mongolian spelling. The Mongolian spelling's different.
Is your yurt style Mongolian?
In the traditional sense. Yep. So it's portable. You could take it on the road. It's interesting. You got all these people who I guess don't need to work anymore. I don't know how because they're only getting paid $2,000. But they basically just kind of sit outside of their yurts all summer. Think of it like the stoop.
Do you build them on decks?
You can build them on decks. You can build them underground. You dig a pit and then have the yurt almost like a yurt bunker.
Is this a Dr. Seuss book? You can build
Yeah.
them on decks. You can build them on grounds.
I've stayed in
Yeah.
a few yurts, and they typically are on decks.
Yep. But
But it's in snowy areas, so you don't want them too low to the
Of
ground.
course, it's a snowy
Yeah.
area. Yes, of course. Only for Ashland, she probably had, Bengal tigers in the neighborhood too.
Yep. Yeah, but what's interesting is now after you've got these people who don't work and they're renting out their house and then they're living in the yurt in the backyard, is they kind of have authentically developed their own sort of like throat singing, like Mongolian throat singing, and they've arrived at that.
Have you been prompting this?
No. They've just
I've
you
never
give us
known
a
you to be a
sample?
Mongolian throat singer.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased to know you're going to sing.
Yes, eventually I'll give you a sample of what they do, but I think they've arrived at throat singing without having any knowledge of what's going on in Mongolia. I think it's maybe the yurt and hanging out in it that has prompted this authentic evolution to throat singing.
Did you pick up this skill at Eastern Connecticut State University?
It wasn't Eastern.
Connecticut
Just
State?
not at the university classes, but our friends would throat sing after class together.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard it?
Ashlyn, have you? No, I haven't, but we're going to hear it in a minute.
Okay.
Ashlyn, have you a question? Because I sense that you have a question because, that's the kind of relationship we have.
Do I have a question? I have so many questions.
Okay.
So you already knew how to throat sing before you got into yurts. Mm-hmm. Was that what led you to yurts? You were like, oh.
Well, throat singing has always been a big part of my life, yeah, but it's not.
Are you sure you weren't singing on the job, and that's how the people with the yurts kind of
Would you say
picked
this
it
is
up?
like a calling? You've got some sort of sixth sense or a Mongolian?
I think we should skip right to the part where he sings for
Well,
us.
yeah, let's get an example here. It's a breath. I think that's lovely.
And these people,
I think that's
syncopation.
right up there with when you sang last week on the show.
I think so. I would, I wouldn't want to degrade that at all by saying it was anything but exceptional.
yep, yeah. Well, when you're in Mongolia and you're bored as it's
Board is hot.
bored as hot, then you just start throat singing.
That's what I'm going to do when I go to Mongolia for sure. I've kind of known you as a person of the street. You never stay too long anywhere. Is that the case?
Yeah, and likely the time on Katunquit may be short as well. Yep, it might be. If the yurts and the pool business doesn't work out, then it's probably going to be a hard landing. Back on
On the mainland?
on the mainland or the street. But that's just kind of the way it's been. I've just kind of started up these businesses after graduating from architecture school, and they just haven't worked out. Like I don't know what it is, between the pool, but I think it's the clients. Like I really think that it's
it's the
probably
clients.
their fault.
It's always good to have a good understanding of blame.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well-
I experienced that a lot.
When you're a man of integrity, and you have a lot of self-worth, you just gotta,
It's
it's
beaten
not,
down.
yeah.
Though it's beaten down significantly, my self-worth. Yes. So let's get back to this person of the street thing. So as you have traveled, you traveled pretty extensively, including India. I don't know that you've been to Mongolia. However, you've been to India, the country. And I think that was a pivotal experience for you. Do you not? Because when I do remember that when you came home, you were eating beans and rice and nothing else. So maybe that was just to get your intestinal system back on track. I'm not sure. What was that like, and how did that affect the rest of your life?
Well, there really is a thing called reverse culture shock. which is really serious where, you go to a place like India from America and there's culture shock. And then when you stay there for a long time, coming back is even weirder.
Okay, I can understand that. Give us an example of the weirdosity of this U.S. of A. And I'm going to say A.
So I guess
America.
One thing is like, let's say you're sitting on the train in India and there's no one on the train until there's a stop and a new guy comes on. Well, guess what? They're going to sit right next to you.
Even though the train's empty.
Even though the train's empty, there's no one on the train. One guy comes on, he's going to park it right next to you and chat with you. So that's one.
That's friendly.
One really cool thing. And
in Farsi, or what language they speak?
Oh, no, they will do their best to speak
Farsi.
English.
That's the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's the wrong continent.
I think maybe there are some people speaking Farsi there. There's like hundreds of languages there.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
But yeah.
English.
So they're friendlier.
Very friendly. And what's nice is you'll see like best friends in the street walking together, like males, holding hands, which is really refreshing, you know?
Okay. Did you jump in on that? Grab the guy's hand in the train? Have a little diddle? Have a short little diddle with the guy in the train. Did a short little diddle with the guy in the train. Another Dr. Seuss big book.
That's when you go like, you know what? I really like you. Thank you for sitting next to me on the train here. Would you like to hold hands together for the 12-hour voyage?
Now, how did you do this mentally? You were okay with it, right? So you jump in, and now you're sitting next to a person on the train, and presumably, like, it's hot. They don't have air conditioning trains.
It's like it is right now. You can get right into character.
Well, you can see that I'm actually a puddle.
I was wondering if you had an accident in the bathroom.
Any fluids that I've actually ingested this morning are in my shirt and around my brow at this moment.
We thought you flung it up and you started going in the air.
Well, Ashlyn has told this story many times, but she and I would play soccer in the local leagues. And she would often be an opponent, and she's a defender and I'm a striker. And she would just run into me, and then she'd say, "Oh my God!"
I wouldn't run into you.
No, you did. You ran into me, just like the others that tried to defend against me. And you would run into me, and then kick my shins. However, in the process, you would also denigrate me because I was so sweaty, and you would call me the eel. Which was, it's okay. We've told the audience in Boise, Idaho.
Just to make you feel
stuff.
better, I played on Sunday against somebody, and a similar thing occurred, and I didn't call him the eel, but I was like, "Oh my God, you're slimy."
Yes.
Was there another nickname besides eel?
Well, I'm not sure. Like Jay, I know could take it. I'm not sure if this guy.
Yeah. All right, so I know that you do have connections with the earth, the water, and power generation because you've had some of the experience with this. Despite your architectural experience and your interest in building yurts, I guess you designed the yurt too, but let's go to the power part. Do you have a view on these new, safer, small nuclear power plants? Are you aware of them?
Yes, very much so.
Could you get one like that you could use in a yurt?
Perhaps a yurt-sized one
Yurt
would be
size.
great. Yeah, maybe a small reactor for your yurt. maybe that's a good business for
There you go.
for the island here.
Keep thinking.
Yeah.
So if you go through this, what do you think of these small nuclear power plants that create enough energy to, for instance, power your neighborhood?
It's a great idea. The issue is that the government gets in the way of a good idea. So the government treats them
Over-regulation.
Yeah, they treat them the same way that a very large nuke would be treated. So if you have a 2 gigawatt nuclear power plant and then you have a 2 megawatt power plant,
Yep.
it's going to be treated the same way. So you're going to have, a 9-figure lunch of regulatory bills to pay. And it's going to be pretty difficult to build any of those small reactors, unfortunately. But what's going to happen, though, is other countries are going to build it and probably test it out. And then by the time the U.S. catches up, other countries will kind of be farther ahead, I think.
I like this whole water power generation thing. I did tell you about my idea. Well, I don't know if it was my idea. I think it was my idea. Working with another fella, and we were talking. It happened to be a fella. Sorry, Ashline. You know this fella, Lex. And he and I were trying to determine how we would garner power from the rising and the falling of the tide, because that happens very regularly. And this, in some places, there's a greater rise of the tide, and you're not doing the spinning of the thing in the, in the harbor there. That's passé. But the idea would be to compress air as the tide rises with these like large pontoons, for instance. And this is and then you're compressing this air, and then you store it in compressed air tanks, and then you use the compressed air to spin a turbine. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that idea?
So there are already people harnessing tides for power.
I know, but they're using the spinning of the things, the wheels.
No, I think there's some that are using some sort of...
they use the wave action, too.
Yeah.
I like that one. Because that's as similar as to the thing that operates your watch, or when you used to have watches. There's a thing
in the old days when you wore a watch.
When you move your wrist, it would generate electrons. It sloughed them off and and they would go into the battery. I'm very technical, as you can see. And
I love that description.
And then it would slough off, and then those electrons go into the battery and operate So there's the same idea, and we have to keep it simple here on the Katunkwit Chronicles, so everyone can understand.
Well, those are hydraulically operated, those mechanisms on what you're referring to as the tidal, where they shake.
Yes.
And they go back and forth. So, as we all know from our
I was using
physics,
the word. Did I use the word hydraulic? Sorry.
Well, as we all know from the physics classes, that fluids cannot be compressed. So they have this hydraulic fluid that when the tide rises, essentially it is moving a cylinder and pushing the fluids. And as it's pushing the fluids, it's turning a generator.
I see.
Yes.
I have. I was exempt from physics class for another.
Many people are exempt from physical education. He was exempt from physics.
For another theater class.
They gave you double theater in high school.
I was I was in the the play, of course.
They were like, you know what, Jay is more of the theater guy. Not. We shouldn't load him up on physics.
Okay, I'm going to a place now that you can decide to you can actually decide to participate or not in this next question, Mr. Art Corvalay, and that is, you have recently engaged in a project that I am very proud that you did, because it's something that I sort of did when I was in just out of college and didn't follow through on. I purchased a 33-foot lobster boat, which was wood, and I put it in the yard with the intentions of going to become a lobsterman, right? And I began working on it, and my father helped, and my mother complained about the boat being in the yard. And then I got into the clamming industry, and I just, put all my energy into that, and I was making a lot more money, so I just stayed with that. And the boat stayed there until I sold it a couple of years later. But I didn't follow through. But you did. You went out, purchased, well, you can tell the story. You got a deal.
Yep. Yeah. Purchased 30 acres for $5,000
in a nearby community that's somewhat depressed.
It's a place to go huff spray paint.
Yes. Yep. Well, don't say that too loud, because other people listen to the show. That's right. But there's also adjoining the property is a beautiful river that has a significant amount of trash in it. mostly empty paint cans. However, a really nice property ultimately with a water generating building on it that you rebuilt and didn't, the generator you didn't try to resurrect is from the 1800s or something. But I want to say that what foresight you've had in resurrecting this property and cleaning up the trash. And I just want to say I'm very proud of you, Art. Good job.
Thank you, James. Yeah, it's
Uncle James to you. I'm just kidding.
Well, back in the day, we used to have to call you Uncle Alan.
So we're getting better.
Yeah. We're now becoming more informal.
Uncle James will be entering the area. I am actually watching a program called The Gilded Age now. Ooh. It's on HBO. And HBO could be a sponsor here on Katunkwit Chronicles. But on that said, that's quite an interesting era, and I think a lot of it was filmed right over here in
I've heard that people who've watched The Gilded Age feel like it's not reminiscent since it was in the past, but it makes them think that today we are living something quite similar.
Class. Yes. Very class-oriented society that we live in.
What's the modern version of the Gilded Age? What is the opulence?
Well, I mean, you've got all your oligarchs with all the money controlling everything, right?
And
then there's, the middle class is getting pushed farther and further down because you can't rent anything or buy anything.
True.
Too expensive. But I haven't seen the Gilded Age, so I can't talk to the parallels. So.
Yep. Well, the interesting thing, one of the Gilded Age houses on one of the other islands nearby, it's supposedly supposed to be made out of all marble, but the reality is it's marble veneer over all the plywood, and so it's this almost like faux opulence.
So it is gilded.
Oh. Yeah, it's
gilded in marble.
Yes, exactly. And everyone thinks it's marble, but in reality, it's just this veneer of marble.
This is the marble house of which you were speaking.
Yes.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, and that would have been a great, a wonderful, is it bullshit or not story, but you've blown it.
Oh.
So I don't think there's any opportunities like that here in Katunkwit, that's for sure. All land is way overpriced, and your $2,000 monthly rental is way off, by the way, for the yurt house.
Is it not the appropriate business model for the island here?
No, I don't think that's a bad idea. It's just that the homeowners are probably getting closer to $4,000 or $5,000 a month.
This is exactly why it's the clients who are the issue. Is because clearly they lie. I mean, I was thinking like they had nice cars, maybe they would be getting paid more than $2,000 a month, but they're probably making pretty good money.
So you were in the water generating hydro business recently, not as an owner of the business, but working in that field because that's what you studied. As well as architecture. So when I visited you in Portland, that was Maine, not out west, I found that I visited, but my observations were very skewed by all the beer we drank. It seems to be, the whole city seems to be all about beer, weed, and art. And all those things I love. So it was very twisted. But that's all we saw during that period of time.
You spent the whole time in the bar?
Yeah. They were bars, and you'd sit down at the bar, and then you'd order a beer, and they'd say, the person next to you would say, it's much better, two bars down. You got to get the one from, I think we already talked about this, but nice town. That's all I'm going to say about that.
And there's a lot of oat milk as well.
Oat milk, and you make your own.
You can make your own oat. You can squeeze them.
Yeah. Do they grow oats in Maine?
Probably. They grow a lot of weed.
They do grow a lot of weed there. Yeah. There's no weed milk that I know of.
Like hemp milk.
Oh, yeah. Hemp milk. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't know why they're not doing that.
I've got seeds that I'm eating now. Eva bought some seeds, and I'm throwing them into my...
Yeah, they're
all cut up.
We've been meaning to talk to you about that. When you show up to a party with a huge bag of hemp seeds,
Yes.
and you're eating them like popcorn.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I know. It changes the whole party.
I wonder if hemp seeds would pop.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, there are other like sorghum pops. There's a bunch of other.
I
You're
have
onto something here.
I have something that I recently bought, in that aisle at Job Lot, where all the grains are. I do shop there for some food items, and that's where I shop the Mills. And they had something called a Vanta or Mananta or something like that. I bought it, and you pop it.
Ooh.
Take a couple of teaspoons, put it in. It's very small.
Oh,
but tastes
amaranth.
That's it.
Wait, could you say what you said
Avanta
before?
or Maranta. So I understand that you might be traveling out west soon, and Ashlyn and I talked before this show, and we decided that we'd like to take a betting pool on how far you'll get with that car.
Oh, nice. Okay, so what are you guys thinking?
I'm
How
going
far?
$5 on this one.
What are you saying?
I'm taking a bet, $5, and the under/over. So if you're within 100 miles, let's say 300 miles, over or under, you win. Okay. So what do you think? Miles? Oh, he's heading out west.
Are you taking the southern route or the northern route?
Probably through Colorado and, of course, Las Vegas.
That's a very well. What's the final destination?
doesn't know.
Southern California, likely.
Okay.
He's going to spend about 20 minutes there.
So I'm go. Are we? Do you want states or?
Yeah, states or
Cities.
miles or cities. Yeah.
Have you seen the car?
I did see the car the other day after we went to the football game.
It's
So I will say that.
Did you hear it rev? Because it really
Yeah.
revs.
I'm gonna
it's
say
a hot rod.
about Ohio.
Ohio, nice. That's
I'm
good
gonna
news.
I'm gonna step up because I know you're bringing your tools, and I'll say all the way,
all the way.
all the way there.
Wait, you didn't tell me he had his
and
tools.
back. If
And
you
does he?
don't stay out
Does he
there.
have any skills as a car mechanic?
Well, the tools will do the heavy lifting there on it.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll
everything
do
he
the
needs.
inspiration. Yeah.
I think he'll be okay. The sound of the shaking in the here is us swabbing our brows with the.
Remind us how much you paid for this car.
Paid $800.
And this
$800
yeah.
earnings.
So I mean, you go to Ohio, I'm going all the way.
You think
And I'm-
only
you know,
Ohio?
I'm going. I probably have to give you $5, but I don't mind.
Ohio? Really? Why do you think it's going to break down?
This is the sound
I,
of James Allen drinking water.
I just imagined a road trip and all the funny, strange things that could happen, and Ohio popped into my head.
That would be a bad place to break down. I'd rather break down in the middle of the desert in the hot sun than Ohio on a normal day.
Yeah, you might not find anybody that likes you to what
It
do
could
you
be
call it?
Detroit.
Radical.
Oh, yeah. They'd be like, this guy doesn't work in a factory.
So how long have you had the porn star mustache, Art?
Well, going on about
When did you start that career? Is that another thing you do?
about 2.5 years, and before that, it was in India. You had to have the porn star mustache. All of the men have the porn star mustache there.
Okay.
Yep, and they don't realize it. That no one showed them a photo of like Ron Jeremy in the U.S. and then showed them, and then been like, "Do you see
Yes.
the similarity?"
One of our favorite characters that we both enjoy together, Art, is being tall annoying as you have to get things off the shelf and everyone starts their conversation with questions about basketball.
Oh yeah, yep. It's The funny thing is
Yup.
that
Another Dr. Seuss book. Yup.
the funny thing is the unoriginal comments about height are reciprocated by me with my unoriginal responses about height.
So what would you say to a person that's diminutive, that is quite petite, that suggests something about your talliosity?
Well, I'd have to just fire a joke back at them and just say, do you see any bats in the cave? Okay. Looking up at the nose. And if they don't see any bats in the cave, then that's a good thing. That means my nose is pretty clean.
That's good. Bats in the cave. We'll have to think about that. It took a little longer for me to figure out what you're talking about. But yes, that is annoying, especially if you see a newscaster that's got a booger in there. It's terrible. I recall your first business venture in the food solar cart business. I guess you were pre-college at this time. And I thought it was a fine idea. And you actually built a business. A lot of businesses that have done quite well. And I recall visiting your workshop and home in the industrial complex. So that was your home inside the industrial complex. So you were in one of those big spaces, those big giant spaces that you were renting. And you built this hovel there, which must have been very...
a hovel?
It must have been very dusty. Well, it was like a haven. What was it like living there, number one? Number two, have you gotten any... Have you removed all the stalactites from your sinuses?
So basically having had been fed up with rent being extraordinarily highly priced, and not having much inventory on the market in the area, I saw this workshop. It was a 20 by 40 garage bay with 25-foot ceilings for $600 a month. Yeah. And I was like, perfect. I could work there and live there. So I was like, sweet. So rented it out, built this mezzanine structure in the garage workshop, and lived under the mezzanine.
It was remarkable.
Was there a bathroom?
There was a bathroom. Oh, yes, okay. There was no shower. So for like a year and a half, I showered at the YMCA.
Oh, but also I noticed that you had a hose, so you showered out there too. At least your uncle thought you did. So that said, kind of isolating.
Very isolating. Very dusty as well.
Who was your only friend? Some carpenter guy down the street?
A mouse.
There was this guy Jay, and Jay was an interesting character. He was very friendly. We had a great relationship, but he had severe anxiety. Severe, like almost crippling. Like so, and
Me too.
But Jay went on this this diet that was very interesting. He didn't eat anything other than meat, vegetables, and fruit. And it was like the carnivore diet. It was almost like paleo, I guess you could say.
Meat, vegetables, and fruit. That's it. The commonly known balanced diet.
Human diet. Exactly.
Oh, human diet.
Yeah. Or maybe, you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, Jay actually didn't even eat fruit. I think it was no sugar. He had it was like no sugar. It was just like meat and vegetables. And then he wouldn't eat
grains.
Blueberries, no grains, wouldn't eat blueberries, wouldn't eat bananas.
Did he live there too?
He spent a lot of time there. And he actually built a food cart out of a camper. So he had this camper, and we're not talking about the one that's permanently up all the time. We're talking about the crank up one that you had, probably 4 feet tall when it's on the road. Oh, yeah. And then you crank it up.
And it opens up.
Opens right up to 10 feet tall. And he cut everything out, and it was this open food cart. And he built everything. He had sinks. He had a grill. He had everything. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it is.
Do you know what happened to him?
I did see him. And he had lost maybe 50 or 60 pounds.
Well, didn't have any sugar.
Diet. Yeah, no sugar. Yeah. But
you're the only male cousin that I know of. Does your dad's side have some boys over there?
None. Only.
So it is true that we were looking at some films of you with the kids when you were young, and it was fascinating because you were like maybe 7 or 8, and all the girls are providing presents to my daughter, and they were nudging you out of the way. They weren't even letting you, and you were like, I could see you wanted to get your present, which you were very proud of. It was so sad.
Oh,
So how many girl cousins are there?
There's too many. No, there's
too many
many.
to count.
There's
Yeah.
many.
There's
I don't know on
There's
his side.
six total, all girls.
So that's like you multiply by 5 at least. It's like 30.
Yeah.
If you're a guy, in your mind, each
Yeah,
girl is worth
it's like-
about 5.
Yeah, there's 5 different conversations in every woman's conversation.
And they have big personalities too. So
Yeah, it's a nice group. I kind of belong in Katunkwit, but I've explored other places to live in countries too. Where do you think you belong?
Well,
You've traveled quite a bit.
what places have you explored? Well,
I've been all over Europe, and I have been to Canada, and I've been to Mexico, and I've been to a lot of the Caribbean and that kind of place, those kinds of places. I haven't been to Asia. But what I would say is, like, I'm asking you this question, by the way, but you turned it on me. It's good to ask a question when you're asked a question. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? And this is a big question. It's question number 12. We only have 14 questions, so it has to happen pretty quick.
that's a big question. Well, I mean, the first thing is, I'm still thinking the pool business is going to work out.
Yeah,
And on the island,
maybe not.
maybe not. But
He's optimistic.
maybe there'll be some cool people on the island. Who I want to be is I think for the most part I've focused on work for a lot of the past 10 years.
Yes.
And now I'm more focused on the social element of, being with people, being
Right.
with friends, being with family. What does it mean to have meaningful relationships with people?
I would say you should be a barista then. You do very well at that.
Ooh. Do you want a nice oat milk latte, perhaps? Or hemp milk?
Do you think your job should include a big corporation situations as your last job did in hydropower? Or will you build your own business?
Probably use the big corporation to build the business, to build up their own personal business there.
And final question. You, having been a member of the Vandalays family, who were one of them.
Corvalay.
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 Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's from a different group. Who were among the first people that came here. They were French. Mm-hmm. The French
The
that
Corvalays.
came down from Canada. And they were among the first settlers in this area with we have to call them pilgrims.
Yep. The first settler was Randy Corvalay.
Oh, Randy.
Yep.
He stunk. Are you sad what your relatives did to the native people here in America? Although the French were working against the British with the native populations too.
Well, as we know, the Corvalays were brutal.
Yeah.
They were quite savage.
That's all we need to know about that.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a read-along section now. I will be reading. The folks here are going to be filling in the limerick. So you all know what a limerick is, and probably I don't go by the limerick rules or whatever it is, a certain number of beats per line or anything. I just write these things, and then we're going to see what people say. So they're going to fill in the limerick, and it's the last line. It should, by most person's understanding, other than Ashland, it should rhyme with the last word of the second to last line. All right, so here we go. We're going to start with Katunkwit. Katunkwit tides flow in and out each day, removing floating objects from the seashore away. They toss and they turn in tumbling seas, and mix with masses of twisted seaweed. But on Friday last, the tide called it quits when the moon took a left turn and suddenly was on the...
Fritz.
Oh, you weren't asked yet. That could have been her answer. So Fritz, we're going to ask you, we'll point next time.
Okay.
But Fritz, on the Fritz, very good. So that was what I had in mind when the moon left it. But on Friday last, the tide called it quits when the moon took a left turn and suddenly was on the Fritz.
Okay. So that's rhyming with the end of the previous line, not 2 lines before, as you indicated.
Do you want to? Second to last. I said second to last. So
did you say second to last?
I
okay.
did. So you can rhyme it with seaweed if you'd like, and mix with masses of twisted seaweed.
I was going to say tits.
All right. It's when the moon took a left turn and suddenly was on the tits. I like that. So that's a good one. That's fun and funny and real not predictable. You get a point for that. You're going to get 1 point. And you get minus 1 point.
For what? Calling out before you were called upon.
Exactly. So I will do the pointing, never forget here. Jared Malucci from Blue Green Road loves butterflies. He plants more butterfly bushes each year, and they've grown in size. Come autumn, he awaits the monarch's sudden turn, for which he's yearned and he's yearned. But last year they passed him over for some other lover. And now he's trimming his bushes for...
Clover.
For clover. Okay. But last year they passed him over for some other lover. And now he's trimming his bushes for...
His mother.
For his mother,
Nice.
yes. Okay, you get a point. Now you're down to 0,
Much
and
better.
you have 1 point. So Ashland is currently leading 1-0. Isn't it nice to come out of the hole?
It is.
Yes, that's good. I have hopes for you. Next one. Pasta comes in different sizes. Some, like ravioli, even come with prizes. But while making your own let's start that over. But while making your own, you can do what you want. So Dimitri shaped them like a
savant.
Like a savant. And what shape would that be? That's interesting. I like it. But a very thoughtful answer. And Ashland. But while making your own, you can do what you want. So Dimitri shaped them like a...
Plant.
Like a blonde. It's very sophisticated. I'm going to go, believe it or not, with savant. So we're even now at 1-1. This is exciting. Comes down to this one, number 4.
What is the shape of a savant?
No, he shaped them like a savant would.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, well, that would change the whole rhyme.
Perfect.
You didn't say anything about wood. All right, so now we're on 4. This is the decider here, because there's only 4. They say everything a stonemason needs to know was taught in kindergarten, yo. They size up the stone, tap it gently in place, then on to the next. They discard the waste. But while building a wall, it's important to note that kindergartners don't often
Float.
And Ashland?
Boat.
It's a tie. So you win. No, it was even.
Yeah.
We were even before?
Even.
We were even?
So
Tie?
it's a tie.
Tie.
Those are equally lame answers.
What was the
what
right
was-
answer?
There's no right answer.
Well,
This
what
is
did
creative.
you have in mind?
While building a wall, it's important to note that kindergartners don't often gloat. All right, so we're down to this new section called Stuff to Ponder and Discuss, because I am really pondering a lot of shit stuff right now. I'm going through some real tricky times in my life. You mentioned anxiety. There's plenty of that. Isn't it ironic that a large blinking highway sign reads, "Don't be distracted while driving"?
Very
Because it is distracting.
In itself. Mm-hmm. All right, so
It is.
You want to talk about it, or you just want to
Yeah,
let me
we can
lie
talk
there?
about it.
I would just agree with you.
Okay, let's go with that. I think that there's a whole discussion. I think 60 Minutes had something about it the other day, where drivers are driving around with these new lights. They're the halogen lights. Are they not halogen? They're the little
The LEDs?
LEDs, and the lights are in the car, and they're part of the car system, but they're too bright. Yeah, so
There should be a lumen limit.
and there is.
This reminds me of that.
No, there isn't. Right.
That there was a radio show where somebody called in to complain about how on the highway they had put this sign up for deer crossing, and she thought it was asinine because it was such a busy highway, and why were they encouraging the deers to cross there?
Well, it goes to show that those infomercials at 3:00 in the morning for the old people, where they're like, "Hey, do you
Wait a minute.
have trouble seeing bright lights at night, like when you're driving your car? Like you should use like bright light remover." And it's like this thing that comes down from your rear view mirror or your driver's side mirror, and it flips down and it just like blocks all of the lights.
Filters it a bit, right?
Filters it. Or you could wear their like
Tech.
space goggles.
Yes.
Equivalent to block them. So maybe there'd be a huge opportunity for a business.
This could be your
In
next
this.
business, Art.
Ooh.
Okay. Think about that, though. Give it some thought. Are that, also medians on a highway are never put to good use in the U.S. They're only large tracts of land, and they're committed to constant trash removal and maintenance, right? They're cutting it all the time.
And in other countries, they're doing what?
In England, the median is sheep farmed in mass, like huge. I'm sure it's the same in other English
Well, I mean,
colonies.
then it's more of a median. Like, to me, a median is probably no more than, 4 feet or something.
Oh, we're not talking about those medians. I'm talking about the ones that are massive. Like, well, even Route 4 has some pretty big medians.
Yeah, you could
And then certainly
farm that area.
95.
And they're already cleaning up roadkill. So if one of the sheeps get hit, they've already got the roadkill
Well,
remover.
I'm sure where they're doing this, they're fenced.
Well, if one car goes off the road, and the little fence isn't going to stop it.
That's true.
From
There's
hitting a
truth
sheep.
about that. So there's some danger for the animals, but there's also a huge benefit there for all.
What do you think about it?
I believe in it. I believe we should use those spaces for something other than like what we're using them for. Maybe we should be.
I mean, they've got trees growing on them. It keeps
Yeah,
everything
that's good.
cooler.
Yeah, I'm not saying cut the trees down. I'm
Yeah.
just saying let's generate some electricity there.
Yeah. Or some meat from the sheep
Have
and
you
some
seen,
yarn.
speaking of electricity on the highway, have you seen these things that they can put up on the on the narrower medians where they're generating electricity just from the force of the cars, the air that's being pushed by the cars as they go by?
That's good thinking.
It's a good thought. It's
It's not
I'd love
practical.
to be the guy installing it on the highway.
I'd love to be the person that's responsible for the maintenance because
Oh yeah.
I'd like to have a contract for that work because they must get broken all the time.
You could probably just hang out the window and do it.
And in China, they generate electricity energy from the sun on road surfaces, so the road is actually that's a good thing.
I like that. My friend and I, we calculated what it would cost to put a solar canopy over a mile of road in the United States, and what the cost would be. And it turns out that it has a 40-year payback to do it.
That's a lot.
And it also has probably like a 20-year lifespan for the panels. So we've deduced that idea may be put on the back burner for a little while.
Okay, so I had this idea about robots, working in the fields, identifying weeds and insects, and then, sucking them up, grinding them up, and putting back into the soil. Too bad. All my ideas, that's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they have it. I don't know why they don't use it. Why are they putting all this chemical waste and pests on our food?
There's this company that makes the tractors, and they use a laser. So they have a camera, and they identify the weeds, and then a very narrow beam laser, and they just fry the weeds and do the entire field. No pesticides.
And this AI stuff could be really valuable here.
So the interesting thing is, it's a great idea. The state of California bans autonomous farming and bans autonomous uses of like lasers for weeds.
Another reason you shouldn't go to California.
They ban it. They're just like, nope.
Well, that might have to change given the fact that all of the people who work in those farms in California are no longer allowed in the country.
Yeah, exactly.
How come you can get like a gallon of like soda at a fast food restaurant for the same price as a small soft drink? Yeah. And why are they doing that? And how come have they no decency?
And it's cheaper than gas.
And it produces gas. And we have enough methane already, especially in this room. Okay, so we have to do our commercials and take care of the people that help us survive each week, which is, diminishing significantly. But let's talk about, first of all, a couple of PSAs. The Katunkwit Library is hosting sound-free Saturday services and sign language classes each Saturday morning. Join the staff in remaining quiet as they observe no sound Saturdays each week. Their motto is, sound is overrated. It wouldn't have been better if it said sound is overstated, wouldn't it? Okay, so what do you think of the acronym STFU? That's a bad one. We ain't going to use that one. Katunkwit offices will be closed to commemorate, that's a tough word because it has a lot of M's. Town offices will be closed to commemorate the passing of the town budget earlier this month. All town hall employees will get a much-deserved day off to celebrate. That's interesting.
I think they needed a day off after that town meeting.
I do too. But I also think that that's very Katunk of them. It's very Katunk. Katunkwit's town manager will, while chatting with James Allen on the streets, that's me, of Katunkwit, offers her opinion as to excessive use of water by newly permitted so-called party houses for short-term rentals that utilize excessive amounts of Katunkwit's precious and limited water supply. The town manager says, it kind of sucks. Well, more like drains the viability of the community to survive. I mean, let's face it, no water, no life. I'm in favor of rescinding the permits, but I'm not an elected official. This is off the record, right? So that's what I heard from the town manager.
And now it's on the record because you just recorded it.
There's nothing off the record, town manager. Face it. Billy's Basement Barbecue opens next week. Stop by Billy's for some authentic backyard barbecue in his backyard, of course. It's all free this weekend, only to choose to those members of the community that eat meat. All meats are locally sourced, and Billy's barbecue sauce can be purchased for a fee of $14 per jar. Once you've tasted Billy's, you'll buy a jar and start your barbecue journey, says Billy of Billy's Barbecue. Bring your own beer, plates, cutlery, and napkins. We have the meat. Wasn't there another business like this very recently? It was like a pop-up business or something. We have a lot of these businesses. They don't last. We never get any redos. Like, nobody comes back to us and says, my business is doing great. I'm going to keep going with your advertising.
We need Art to advertise on our show with his
the
pool
yurts.
cleaning business.
The
yurts.
Yeah, and the sheep business from the median, we'll call it street meat. Maybe Billy would buy some.
It could be. It varies from day to day based on the number of animals killed in the street. Dump Mining Corporation, a newly formed LLC, is making Katunkwit their official international headquarters. Hey, we have an international headquarters here in town. The Dump Mining Corporation turns man's perceived waste into reusable raw materials for use in manufacturing. All metals, plastics, even used baby diapers, for example, are repurposed through high-intensity on-site UV radiation therapies. DMCs, I guess that's Dump Mining Corporation, AI, robotics, sorting, and distribution robots do all the work in assembly lines that travel at speeds of 18 miles per hour. All DMC on-site plants process up to 50 metric tons of old or new trash per day and run on solar power cells placed strategically at dump sites throughout North America. If you can get it here, we'll transform your stuff into more stuff, says CEO and Katunkwit resident, yay, Norwood Turns of Blessing Hills. You must have a nice house up there on Blessing Hill. That's a good idea. I'm sure it's working. 2 adults were badly burned when they crossed the road while visiting Herringbone Beach on Saturday. Police officer on the scene, Melanie Stockwell, police union rep, noted. Why do we have to know that she's a police union rep? Well, anyway, she noted, with daytime temps reaching nearly 100 degrees in Fahrenheit, macadam-based road temps will reach 130 degrees or more. Beware of hot roads, and please come to a complete stop at all stop signs. We have only one blinking light in Katunkwit, so observe the many stop signs, remembering to stop fully, count to 3, and proceed. Our police officers, my colleagues, are vigilant, and we know who the violators are, so beware and consider yourselves forewarned.
Wow, that's serious. I'm stuck on were their feet burned when they crossed the street?
I don't know if they had any other body parts that were burned. Are you suggesting some kind of anatomical...
No, I'm just saying it doesn't say what they were burned. It sort of implies that the street gets hot.
She's obsessed with stop signs.
Are there citations if you don't comply?
Yeah, everything has a citation in Katunkwit. In fact, you can receive a citation for pretty much doing nothing. I might get one for doing this show.
Maybe they should paint a white stripe on the road so that you can walk on the white stripe to cross the street.
But how are they going to collect their fees for fines?
Are they fining people for burning their feet?
Oh, no, they should. Because you go to the hospital.
Ashlyn, you got hung up on the whole feet thing, and you forgot
with
about
the feet, and I don't know why it got
absurdity
went
of
off
it all.
track.
Who do you think writes this shit? The Katunkwit Church of the Sun welcomes all visitors to Katunkwit for their fully immersive beach experience to take place at North Beach each Sunday morning at 6 a.m. during the summer months. Sun Church, as the locals call the experience, takes place in the water with other members of the church, all organized in a circle. We worship all things natural, says Clay Watterson of Steamboat Drive. Sometimes there are 5 folks in the water, and come midsummer, we'll get 40 or more sun worshippers to praise sun. We tried sunrise services, but around the summer solstice, sunrise is like 4:30, and we only had a few folks willing to get up that early. See you next Sunday. Nudity is acceptable and encouraged, says what's his name? Who's the dude? Clay Watterson. Didn't he have a problem with the law?
Well, we're going to his event nude.
Yeah,
100%.
I would like to know.
That's you.
Where's
Gotta have a lot of jam
Where's
for that.
North Beach?
North Beach?
Yeah.
It's up north of that other beach that's up there.
Dead End Beach?
What's that one?
Which one?
Which one are you referring to?
I don't know.
Oh, it's on the west side. It's
that,
north of Hands Beach.
Yes, so that I just don't understand how they're seeing the sunrise on the west side of the island.
Oh my goodness, they are really very, very tall. I guess I don't know.
It's a pretty flat up
there's
there.
a deets. I don't really know. Maybe it's on the other side. What did he say? North Beach.
Yeah,
it must
that's
be
why
on
I'm wondering where North Beach is.
Well,
because how am I going to go in my birthday suit if I can't?
I honestly have
beach?
never been to North Beach, and it's because
Because you live in town.
We live in town, and we have the beach that's right there.
Have you been to the North End?
Yes, but I actually go.
But it's been
I go
20
clamming
years.
up there sometimes. I'll go up clamming. There's a beach. That's right at Broad Street. That's where the beach is.
Uh-huh.
All right, so that's it. Music waves. And bubbles. All right, so we come to that part of the show where we do Is It Bullshit or Not? And we're going to have to go through these rather quickly because we're at a point where we need to. Exit. The word exit was originally used as a theater term and had no other meaning. other than to leave the stage. Is it bullshit or not? Don't jump in. I have to point.
It's not BS. Nope, that's definitely it.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I ask you, young lady?
I'm just gonna say it's bullshit.
No, it is not bullshit. That's true.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. The second one. There were only 84 Dalmatian dogs that appeared on screen in the movie 101 Dalmatians, which first screened on January 25th, 1961. Is it bullshit or not?
I think that's plausible. I mean, why would you hire so many dogs?
I'm saying they stuck to the script and they got exactly 101.
That is true. They went with 101. That was bullshit.
You are 2 for 2, Art.
All right. So, Corvalay, you got something for us on the BS or not? Is it BS or not? Don't even stop.
Yep. So, in the movie...
That's 2 yups. Yup. This time, another Dr. Seuss book potential. Again, yup.
Yep. So, is it BS or not?
Yes.
Is that they're actually starting a Town of Katunkwit rival podcast that's going to be centered at the town hall because they're worried about your success, and the town is trying to engage in the podcast market to try and take some of your market share.
That's disturbing. I'm going to say, I'm going to say that's true.
I'm going to agree. I think it's true.
It is true. Yep, it is. Yeah. That's what the word on the street is.
You see, I'm shaking in my boots here over here. Don't even worry about it. We got you by a mile. You got anything for us, Ashland, over there in that side of the world?
It is illegal to insult your children in Sweden. Is it bullshit or not?
We're going to say BS. The Swedes probably insult the heck out of their children, make fun of them all the time, and call them names.
I'll go the other way and say it's true.
It's true.
I like that rule.
What's insulting, though? Like, if you're like,
subjective.
This, right? And the kid's just like, Mom insulted me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it's going to come down. They're going to have to, the kids are going to have to speak up for themselves and say,
it's funny.
I felt that I was insulted.
You know what's
parents
insulting?
Are be like,
when Jay turns on the music. And the waves. And the bubbles all at the same time. All right, so last week, I guess it's last week. Yes, last week we finished a section of Act 2 of The Happening. And you'll remember that this bowl of Kool-Aid or punch came into the party that they were happening, the pre-party, the meeting of the FAH club, essentially the Flying Assholes, included a visit from none other than Billy Johnston, for no other better term, a hippie that is visiting the group. He's very much part of the peace movement, kind of a chill guy. He comes in, but he has the punch, and of course the punch is laden with lysergic acid. So at this moment, as we enter the play, Pat and Righty is a person, rise from the refrigerator boxes simultaneously as they are startled by the sound of a gong. The other members of the cast awaken slowly. So everybody's laying out there after a big night of partying. And everybody that showed up stayed the entire time. And these are Pat and Righty are in their mid-40s. So, and the character assignments are as such. James, that's me. Don, I will be reading Don, Gertie, and Johnny. So, just to let the public know, Don is my uncle, and Johnny is actually my father. So Don is my uncle, and Johnny is my father. Gertie, that's a character. They're all characters. So Mr. Corvalay will take on Billy Johnston, the fellow we just mentioned, and Righty. Ashland will play Starling. a person that's only referred to as the Portuguese man, which I probably should change. Angelo and Pat. Oh, we'll open here with Pat.
Righty, what happened?
Jesus Christ, it's 8 in the fucking morning. I've got to take my mother-in-law blueberrying.
I'm the marshal at the Ancients and Horribles parade today.
Wearing a hat, Gertie wearing a hat with plastic fruit stuck to it. Oh, we need to kill the pig. We gotta gut the pig. We gotta drain the blood. We gotta dig the pit. We gotta get the pig stuck on the rod and build the fire. Pointing to Don's Uncle Rudy. Oh, yeah. We gotta burn Don's uncle first. I'll be cutting vegetable. I gotta make some nice soup.
I gotta go. My wife Mina's gonna be mad I didn't come home last night. I never not come home before. I'm gonna stop at the church and sweep the pews first. Jesus Christ, what a screw up this is.
Rushing to put his socks and shoes on his feet. Don. She'll just figure you dropped some acid with the local kids and fell asleep in a refrigerator box with flowers stuck in your T-shirt. Pat and Righty both leave the front door, and the front door jingles as they leave. Billy Johnston awakens, walks to the table, lifts a bottle of Coca-Cola from the table, and drinks it down, burping as he finishes the whole bottle.
Oh, man. Oh, I've got to get some fluids right away, man. The next morning after I drop acid, sugar up, get some caffeine into the system to send the monsters away. I need to put some water on my face.
Walking toward the bathroom.
And get ready for the day. Got a pretty busy day today. Standing in the unemployment line. Nixon fucked the economy and I can't get a job. It's his fault.
Stop with the rest of the long hairs tonight. Stop by, would you? We're roasting a pig. There's a lot of it. You can bring them on. Billy wiping his face with a towel.
Nice offer for a meat eater, but why do you have to label me and my friends as long hairs?
Because you all have long hair. You look like bad-looking women.
I know what you're doing, man. You're trying to rile me up. My ego's telling me to hit you.
Billy pauses and then moves towards Gertie, seemingly in a threatening manner, smiling, though, from ear to ear.
I'm just going to wiggle my ass a little bit more when I walk instead. Maybe we could spend a little time together, Gertie.
He don't mean that, guys. I'm not no homo.
He's no homo either. I can vouch for him.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, while you were painting, Billy was panting.
Don rushes. Don rushes and pushes Billy at the shoulders. Out! Get out! I fed you. I practically brought you up. This is your thanks. Out! Billy leaves the stage after being pushed. Billy looking back in a loud voice.
I'll see you tonight at the dead animal roast. I'll be the one eating the apple.
Damn pine cone eating fucking generation.
Ever eat a pine tree? Many parts are edible. You see that commercial, Don, with Yoel Gibbons? Don, you're just pissed because he found my G-spot and all you could find was my essence.
Starling points to the painting drying against the wall near the fireplace of her. Don approaches Starling, holds her shoulders, looking into her eyes. I had hopes for you to be my Renee, my Tatiana, my Coral, the woman of my painted dreams. I saw you again last night, rising from the jungle, from between the twisted trees like beams of red and orange light sneaking through as if riding a certain slant of light. You were beautiful. Starling, She beams.
You're very sexy when you speak of paint. I'm afraid, though, that you are never in the present, Don. You're wrapped up in the past, fighting a war that happened 25 years ago, painting an imaginary world that exists only in your thoughts. Meanwhile, you fail to be in the present, alive, sitting on the cliff of life, dangling your feet on the precipice of emotion. You should try being present, man. Your art will be better, your disposition will improve. Are you listening to me? What am I saying, Don?
Don moves to the window, lifts the curtain to peek outside. It's cold for August. Starling, anyone can paint a pant. Not many can paint.
You have to be able to do it all, man, to fly with the starling.
The guys all left except for Gertie. Can you help us pull down Uncle Rudy from the wall and get him in the backyard under the beech tree? He's starting to stink a little. Johnny's still sleeping, but when he awakens, I'll have him build a funeral pyre for Uncle Rudy. I'll draw a picture of it. He'll build it. Johnny can build anything.
Everyone has a talent. Some talents are latent, hidden, and are never discovered.
What's your talent, Starling?
I'm good with the guns. I also serve as a reflection of society. I'm an example of what we're to become, a sort of spiritually gifted person here to spread the word about spiritual consciousness.
What's your talent? Reflecting guns?
I'm also a good listener.
America needs more of them. Sounds like you better join Billy in the unemployment line.
You don't understand, man.
You haven't said anything, woman.
Don't call me a woman.
You are a woman, aren't you? And besides, you just called me man.
I'm more than that. My life has purpose and meaning.
She lights up another joint. If you're so conscious, why do you try to make yourself unconscious with that dope?
It's just pot.
It's drugs.
You drink beer, that's a drug.
Beer isn't a drug. Pot leads to other things.
Yeah, spiritual awakening.
I suppose you've tried everything with that Woodstock and all. Yeah, Starling, you showed up here, and before you know it, the whole FAH club's high on acid, hallucinating all over the place. I'll take my beers any day. Starling, you are a bundle of contradictions, all tossed together like an iceberg lettuce salad. You start out with a head, and life has picked away the leaves and tossed you in a bowl, and there's nothing left but tossed salad. The next section will include a song sung by Gertie. Gertie sings, and the cast hums along after the first stanza. I'll take my beers, yet I find it kind of queer that society has slid to the point where punch is laced with acid. I'll take my beers, walk home at night without the fears of intense insight. I'll take my beers and roam the streets, but tomorrow morning I'll never fear, 'cause all I'm drinking is plain old beer. The cast sings here. He likes the lager, the pilsner, and a few hearty ales. He likes it in glasses, mugs, and even by the pails. His beer is draft and bottled and kegged. His beer comes from the heartland of America's Midwest. And when the blast of the beer is drunk, and I'm wavering and drunk as a skunk, I'll stagger and walk the streets, then find the bed and sigh. While the beer's a vice, it doesn't make me think I can fly. Yes, I'll take my beers any day. I'm a simple man, not much to say. Midweek, I'll give the bars a break. But weekends, I'll be back again for the glass's sake. 'Cause the answer's at the bottom of the glass each night. I'll take my beer in shots because the other stuff isn't right. I may be missing something, but I'm staying straight, drinking my beers and feeling great. He likes the lager, the pilsners, and a few hearty ales. He likes it in glasses, mugs, and even by the pails. His beer is draft and bottled and kegged. His beer comes from the heart of the America's Midwest. I'll take my beers and drink 'em down. I'll take my beers and walk to town. 'Cause there's a seat at Jack's bar for me right now. And I'll get there and really show 'em how. Act 3. The scene is outside the shop in the gazebo area. Paintings are hung in the gazebo. There's a bar set up, and Cut St. Orange his name is Cut St. Orange, is behind the bar serving drinks to the workers. Johnny's building the funeral pyre with Don. Gertie, Righty, and an unknown Portuguese man are holding the pig by the back legs. The main body and, of course, the head of the pig are on the other side of a doorway. We see Starling with the M16 on the audience side of the doorway, pointing the gun at the pig. We do not see the pig's head, only its feet and hind quarter. Starling is pointing the M16 and shaking. Mr. Labola, a man in his 50s, is standing by with a knife and a bowl to catch the blood nearest to Starling. Donald. Shoot the gun! Shoot!
If you'd hold the thing a little tighter, I'd have a clear shot.
Shoot, we can't hold on. This thing must be 200 pounds. Why you have to get the biggest piglet anyway? Don is struggling. It's not a piglet. The farmer here wanted too much for the piglets. I bought a first-year pig. It's cheaper.
I don't know if I can do it.
Where's the tough broad now?
I'd rather shoot you than this helpless animal.
Gertie drops the legs, and Don and the Portuguese farmer struggle further as he backs away with his hands above his head. That's not right. That's pointing the loaded M16 at me? For Christ's sake. Starling wheels around to the audience, waving the gun, and then to the pig, closing her eyes and snapping off several semi-automatic shots. The sounds of a dying pig can be heard. Lobola, an artist from a friend of Donald in his 30s, moves into the pig execution area quickly to slit the throat and drain the blood. This is all offstage and behind the door. But Lobola emerges with a blood bowl, his bloody knife, and a smear of blood across his face. He looks fiendish. Don and the farmer drop the back end of the pig. Gertie races in behind the door and in the gazebo area with a knife and begins to put the pig, gut the pig, and saving the heart and the other organs. It's a bloody mess as the parts begin to emerge from the gazebo area on stage in bowls like hearts and lungs and livers of pigs, and they're placed on table in the middle of the kitchen area. Gertie starts us off. This is all happening off stage. Don enters the kitchen, then retrieves a huge knife and joins Gertie with the knife. Don't hit the piss sack with the sharp knife. That right? Oh, go right around the sack and lift gently. Good, and that's out. Now we can move the rest of the stuff. Be careful of that. That's the gallbladder. That bile stuff will ruin the meat too. Anyone have a beer? The men are sweating and keep emerging from behind the execution area to get beer, retrieve knives, retrieve a nylon rope to hang the pig while Starling just watches from a stool on stage. The men attach a rope from the legs and let the pig hang from the beech tree limb, which can be seen as the pig's legs rise above the back staging and into the tree. The audience gets a glimpse of the hanging pig behind the gazebo as it rises, hanging from the tree. The pig's hind quarter and midsection is present in the scene. The cast are all standing around drinking beer and toasting the pig.
In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost.
All but Starling makes the sign of the cross at the moment of the Portuguese man's prayer, and she actually throws her hand to her side straight out and erect to make a point of her disinterest in religion. Gertie, noticing Starling not participating, to Starling and announcing loudly, "Ah, Jesus Christ, don't tell me you're not a Catholic."
A toast to not being Catholic and to the pig.
The cast, excluding Starling in unison, "To the pig! Hip hip hooray!" Starling, above all, in a mock drunken slur.
Fucking hooray, let's eat.
And now we have a song from Starling that I will attempt to sing. Let's eat the pig, baby, let's eat the pig. Let's eat the pig, baby, what do you say we eat the pig? Don't let us down, Gertie, let's eat the pig. I won't let you down, hot hips, we'll eat the pig. Gotta clean the pig first, hot hips can't clean the pig. Build a fire, hot hips, fire, that won't let us down. I can start a fire, Gertie, I've got some skills. Don't worry about fire, I'll kill the chill. People don't say I'm smoking, I'll kill the chill. You're one crazy toting bitch, darling, you'll kill the chill. One marching, feminist, war protesting crazy, and you'll kill the chill. A real fire master, wild child, that's on a pill. I think that you're changing, Gertie, you made the turn. It's time for a funeral pyre, Gertie. Gonna help Rudy burn. Gonna light him up in a full gratitude. Don't forget the fire spit and make it hot. It's not hot, we won't be until 12 o'clock. So go and burn it, baby, you got the heat. I've never been more alive. I'm a Don's here to help them survive. To make the changes in society one bigot at a time. I've found my purpose and I'm doing fine. I'll say we can eat, and ain't now, hot hips. We've got about 12 hours before we eat. Let's work. Billy enters and Starling moves over to him and gets under his arm. Billy.
A toast.
Reaching over and lifting Gertie's beer to his own lips.
To the pigs.
Announcing with pride.
I've been in jail since I left here. Got arrested by the cops just after I left. But of course, I escaped again. Those fucking cops are so fucking stupid. It's like we're living in Mayberry, for Christ's sake.
Don't take the God's name in vain.
That's not God.
Who's not God?
Jesus Christ.
There you go again. For Christ's sake, just stop it, will you?
You just said it again.
Said what?
Jesus Christ, you said for Christ's sake.
Jeez, stop your goddamn swearing, Starling. You non-Catholic, pot-smoking, pseudo-psych, sophisticated hipster, and help me finish the vegetables for the soup.
Vegetable soup? Now that's something I can sink my teeth into.
Better watch out, you don't lose a tooth. I'll bet a sawbuck you haven't brushed those teeth in 2 days.
You've got to bet.
Gertie slaps $5 on the table. You're on. Billy pulls the $5 off the table, puts it down in the front of his pants.
Done deal. I brushed my teeth yesterday at noon. I had some pop brownies on the front steps of Town Hall and watched the cars drive by the rest of the day. I keep a brush and paste in my pocket all the time.
Producing a brush and paste.
I think I'll brush now.
He starts brushing while standing up, and he's struggling to get the words out between brushing and the foam from the frothing paste. He finishes, then hands Starling the whole mess.
Therefore, I have technically brushed my teeth within the 2-day allotment provided to me by you and your statement.
What, are you, a lawyer or something? Give me back my $5. Gertie moves towards Billy, then backs off. Billy thrusting his pelvis out at Gertie.
Come and get it, big man.
You didn't tell me you were bisexual. That's so cool.
Gertie threatening Billy, moving toward him. And I never wanted you and never will. So get on with your mind get that off your mind right about now. Bisexuals, I mean, what do they do?
Just ask a priest.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, you are going to hell. Don't say that.
Nobody's going anywhere. Do you really think that Uncle Rudy is flying around up there now, looking over all this stuff? He's dead, and that's it, man. When you're dead, you're dead. Why do you think that people want to live so badly? It's not like they're dying to die.
Billy sings as he dances with expressive arms as if he were flying. They measure the soul, man, when it leaves the dead. For a measure of soul is in the head. Listen to words that a person said, 'cause a measure of soul is what you believe, and a measure of soul can't be seen. A measure of soul is never in between. Live a life that's true and believe, and your measures of soul will surely be seen. A measure of soul's never in between. A measure of soul will be seen. A measure of soul's never in between. A measure of soul will be seen. Starling opens up.
Some people just got to let go.
When my old man died, we were all standing around him, and he's taking a breath about every 20 seconds, and then it stopped. And we all were standing around looking at him. And I'm about 10 years old. I'm crying. My mother's crying. My sisters and my mom kisses him on the sweet, sweaty forehead. So I can go forward, and just as I'm about to kiss my dad for the last time, he takes a breath. And it's like a minute later. So don't tell me there's a heaven when people are trying to stay here that bad.
Don enters from the painter's studio covered in paint. Don to Billy. You've returned. I thought I told you to get out. I don't need you around here anymore.
More rejection? When did you ever need me, Don?
You're right about that, Bill. I remember that once you took the trash out for me when you were 12. Since then, you've been sponging off me and everyone else in society.
Come on, Don. It's kind of harsh, isn't it? I mean, I serve a purpose. I'm more like you than you think. I'm part of a huge social experiment. I fulfill my duties in life. Do you ever think that might happen if what just happened hadn't happened? Like, for instance, what if...
He's thinking.
Like, remember when that car came crashing through the front window of the shop? And remember how you just, before that happened, I came over that morning and you said, Jesus Christ, it's just you, Billy? And you came walking into that back room to swear at me just when that car hit. And you would have been me, like right in the spot where the car came smashing through the front. Remember that?
How could I forget? You remind me every time I try to throw you out and threaten to not feed you anymore.
Finish, man. I know where you're going with this, man.
Billy, pointing at Don, you see there are certain people in the world that are like the fingers in the dike of society, right up there. If we are not supported, the dike breaks and society will drown like the Dutch or whoever it is that lives below sea level. I think it's them.
Yeah.
So my walk on this earth is of more important than the next guy's walk on earth.
What about the women?
Billy, pointing at Starling with both hands.
Women. Oh, yeah, women. Now, you are a woman with some serious attitude, and that goes a long way with me. I figure you're one of us, one of those few that society relies upon to tread lightly and make all the right moves.
Most of that's right. Some of it's left. None of it's center.
As far as I'm concerned, you're all left. Leftist, commie, pinko, pointing to Billy. Some of you, I don't know about. Billy, not affected.
Ouch. I object. That hurts not me, just a lot of people. People that are just loving each other, man.
If you are the boy with his finger in the dike, and by the way, that's Holland you're talking about. Gertie knows Holland really well. He jumped in with the 101st during the Operation Market Garden during the war. He shouldn't have come home, believe me. Well, I'm here, and I love this country, and it's you two buttes that are keeping society from crumbling. Then I've been better off not making the jump, Johnny. These kids are killing our society. I know what you're saying, but they're fighting their own war, Gertie. Don't tell me you're going over to them. For Christ's sake, Johnny, you were at Omaha Beach, you walked across Europe, and now you're going to leave this country to them? And what choice do we have, Gerd? They're just kids like we were. And they have their own war, too. Enter Angelo.
I've been listening in the other room. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Just what is this big war? Are the guys coming back from Vietnam? Our war not dead enough for you? Do you want there to be few more 100,000 so we can meet your standards? This is nonsense.
Angelo, I'm truly sorry. I mean, lots of people call it the big war. I mean, it's I just came back. I know you just came back, and you were in the jungle, and you were shot at often. I watch the news. Here's Walter Cronkite tell us of all the body bags, the number dead each week. It disgusts me. It absolutely disgusts me.
But you don't understand.
The hell I don't. I understand all too well. Starling, to Billy, remembering suddenly.
Let's get back to you, Billy, and your escape from the pigs. It's good you escaped. I know one pig that didn't escape.
She's laughing at her own joke and slapping her knee. Then she starts a fit of laughter, which moves to a fit of coughing. Then she settles down.
How exciting. I just realized I'm having sex with a bisexual criminal. I like the way that sounds.
She pauses and sighs, then to all that will listen, facing the audience.
I've done the hard work here with the killing and all. The rest is up to you.
Waving her hand.
I need my beauty sleep now. You do know that the Horribles parade starts in a few hours. I'll need to look beautiful for the Horribles parade in order to retain my contrarian status. It's not easy being beautiful, you know.
She begins touching her own breasts on stage and running her hands up and down her own body. The men are all watching and are encouraging her with their eyes in quiet amusement. She releases her bra and pulls it off from her shirt, announcing,
I'm done with these. My tits are now free.
Oh, by the looks of it, pretty much everything's free with you, Starling.
Starling, I know what he means. I have that freedom problem too. That's why I was arrested. People are jealous of my freedom. Perhaps I'll take a little nap with Starling. I'm also one of the beautiful people that need copious amounts of sleep. Besides, I may need to hide if the cops come for me. I'll be in the attic with Don's paintings. Oh, by the way, Gertie, like it or not, we inherit the farm. So just think, someday I could become governor.
Don speaking to Billy first and then to everyone, including the audience. Mr. Governor, get the wood from the woodpile. Build a fire beneath the pit. And Gertie, make sure they use only the hardwoods. We don't want any pine tar in our dinner tonight. I'll call in the music. There's going to be a happening tonight. The cast sing as they quickly over the purposely and bluesy powerful song. It's all happening tonight, gonna be a happening tonight, we're all happening tonight, we're gonna throw a party and see the light, 'cause there's gonna be a happening tonight, it's all happening at the happening tonight. Johnny, he's building a fire pit. Goody's cooking on the spit. Starling's getting her sleep, and we hope Rudy doesn't tip. Gonna be a happening tonight, calling on the arts gods tonight. It's all happening for sure. We're gonna change the world. Bringing these groups together seems absurd, but you better spread the word. Put your best foot forward, because there's gonna be a happening tonight. Gonna be a happening tonight. A happening tonight. Well, there you have it. The next element of the play and the musical, The Happening. Thank you so much for portraying those various roles. You guys and gals did a wonderful job. Thank you. I was particularly amused when you talked about your tits. That was really funny, because you actually used some visual, which the audience cannot see, of course.
But not the full extent of the script, though.
Well,
I could have done, but we are at a school.
That's true. Let's keep the hands off your tits. Art, aren't you leaving for a trip out west soon?
Yeah. Any time probably after the 4th of July is when it's going to happen.
I'm going to miss you, Art.
Going to miss you too.
Yeah, I'll miss you too.
Yep. Miss you guys.
That's really nice. There's way too much niceness going on here.
We better leave.
We better leave.